This is Dave from Dave Simon's Music on the phone with Ed Lettner, the owner of the music studio based out of Toronto. So, Ed, let me ask you, what initially drew you to the Kidzrock program?
Well, initially it was the uniqueness of the program in terms of the programming for children 4 to 7 years of age compared to other programs, traditional programs that exist for kids that age. And I just found this was something new and fresh and something that kids today can certainly relate to, and that's turned out to be the case in terms of the interest, not only of the kids involved but their parents.
Great. So let's talk a little bit about your pre-launch of Kidzrock and what you were doing from a marketing standpoint. And now that you're up and running, what you're currently doing. Tell me, when did you start the Kidzrock program?
So we started it in the summer, in July. So we ran a series of half-day summer camps. And initially, I had signed up to the program in the spring just to give me a bit of lead time to get used to the program myself, train the Kidzrock teacher here, and just really come to understand the program and all that it had to offer, which made it easier for us to get off on the right foot and also just promote the program in general. So we started with some half-day summer camps in the summer, and also a couple of open houses in the summer.
And did you? I know you're probably not in front of your billing software, but do you remember how many kids you initially launched with, and then where you're currently at?
Yeah, so we started, in the summer it was, I think it was about a total of 10 kids among the camps that we ran.
Right.
And then starting in September, we had about that number, and now we're up to 15, actually 16. Someone just contacted me today wanting to register for the next session. So we're up to 16 kids spread among 4 Kidzrock classes.
Right. I was about to say, yeah, with that many, you're going to at least have to be with 3 or 4 classes. So tell me a little bit about your marketing approach and strategy pre-launch, and then how it's changed over time.
Yeah, definitely. Pre-launch, it was just the traditional, forms of media in terms of the local newspaper here that covers our events, community paper. So they came out to one of the open houses, and that was a feature in one of the issues of their paper and their website. And also, of course, promoting it on our website. So setting it up using the materials that you provide through Kidzrock, which was great in terms of adding a rotator, just the one of the images that's featured on the homepage of our website. So 3 or 4 different themes for different things we do, one of which is Kidzrock. So when people go to our website, that's one of the first things they see is the Kidzrock feature. Social media as well, making people aware of it through that form, and also the postcards. Again, using the template that you provide, which was great. So I just printed off a bunch of those, left them at some community or local coffee shops and things like that. And I know we got interest from that. And the big thing, of course, is just making use of our current base of students. So that new student I mentioned who signed up today is actually a friend of one of our current students. So that's one thing that's changed or become more important now that we've launched the program, is making use of the families that are already involved in the program, loving it and encouraging them to tell their friends about it.
Yeah, so how do you, well, first of all, a couple of things I wanted to ask you about. You mentioned social media. Which, are you using anything else other than Facebook to get the word out?
It's Facebook and Twitter.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, those are the two main features, and also have a blog that's written each week. So we'll do a post when it's time to register, sort of about Kidzrock or the benefits of kids at young ages and being involved in music programs and group music programs and that kind of thing. So that definitely helps. Also, our newsletter, again, going out to our current base of families. So, certainly I'll send out newsletters featuring Kidzrock so that people are well aware of that when it comes time to register.
And I just had a mother give me an earful the other day about me not being so aggressive on Instagram. And she gave me an earful in a good way. She was just saying what you're doing is so visual. Kids, especially young kids playing music, should really resonate on Instagram. So that we post a little bit on there. I'm not a big Twitter guy, and not for any particular reason other than I've just been so hyper focused on Facebook. But yeah, I think Instagram for me will be the next frontier. You had mentioned postcards. I'll be honest with you, I have not done a lot with the Kidzrock postcards other than having them available around the school. Did you say that you actually mailed postcards to current students?
Not the postcards, no. What I would do is we have some local businesses we partner with. Like there's a local coffee shop. We have a monthly coffee house music night. And so, I left a bunch of the Kidzrock postcards there where, people get their milk and sugar and what have you.
I got it.
And that's been great because I've had a couple people call me and say, I was just at the coffee shop and picked up the postcard about Kidzrock, so what's it all about? So those kinds of things, anything in the area, just other businesses, community centers are another place. There's a local swimming pool here, community swimming pool and fitness center, and so I have a display there, and Kidzrock postcards are part of that display. So just anything within our local trading area where families tend to visit.
There was another thing that you'd mentioned that you'd done that I thought was press. Did you do a press release to get that right up in the paper, or was that a relationship that you already had with that?
Well, really both. We work together. It's a relationship I already have with this local paper. They cover most of our concerts and that kind of thing, and anytime we're offering a new program like Kidzrock, they come out and feature it. So basically I write the story and they publish it, and they come and take photos and that kind of thing. So so if that worked out well, so essentially I just wrote the copy for it, and then they printed it.
That's great. Have you done anything with Google AdWords in Kidzrock? Yes.
I have set up a Google AdWords Kidzrock section, and that's always a bit of a challenge. And I recall you and I talking about this a little while ago, just in terms of you kind of have to make people aware initially of what is Kidzrock. So there's a bit of an educational component involved because it's something totally different than what parents are used to. So doing what you can to ensure that the parents are understanding, the age range that the program's for, how it works, just the goals of the program, that kind of thing. And almost initially, that's almost more important than just kind of a big sales pitch sort of thing, just to get
Right.
people curious about the program and wanting to explore it more.
Is there a phrase or a concept when you're dealing with the sales of it that seems to resonate with parents that you kind of tend to always pull out of your back pocket?
Well, I always tell them that within the first 45-minute class, their child will be playing a song. And that's a big selling point because, so often you think music lessons, music classes, the kid's got to practice a piece for weeks before it sounds like anything. And parents are having to remind the child to practice in a lot of situations. So that's, that really captures people's interest. Just the fact they can attend a class, start from scratch, and actually be playing an instrument, playing a song on an instrument with other kids in a band. And that social component is big too. I always emphasize, that they're playing in a rock band. They can tell their friends they play in a rock band, and that's a big selling point as well. So I'd have to say, just that the idea that they're actually in a band, and they're playing music pretty much straight away. Those are the two topics that I really focus on.
How did you initially announce the program in your studio, other than Facebook? I mean, did you do a dedicated email blast?
I did, yeah. So I sent out an email blast to everybody on our email news list, mailing list, and put up the Kidzrock posters that you provide, and put those around the studio, and also left postcards around the studio as well in our waiting area. And then spoke with parents. I contacted families myself, as well as doing the general email newsletter. Just from knowing the families who come here, the age of the kids who come for the lessons, and I have a pretty good idea of other siblings, younger children they may have who don't take lessons yet, but are within the age range for Kidzrock. So I sent a personalized email to each of those families, letting them know about the program, and that really, got more people interested, because I find, of course, with email newsletters, a lot of people just kind of bypass them or maybe give it a quick look and don't really, go into detail about the content of it. But when they receive a personal email from someone they know, about a specific program with a pitch to them for their child, then I find it's more likely that they're going to at least respond and ask for more information.
All right, that's great. So I want to do a quick review. I want to make sure I got everything you said. To pre-launch, you did you got on Facebook, and did you do Facebook ads and post on your timeline for the studio?
Not the Facebook ads, but regular posts about it, and just putting it out that way. We've also, not at that time, but since then we've started using the Facebook Boost feature as well. So that's another way just to get the word out. But initially it was just adding things to the timeline and adding regular posts about Kidzrock.
And I want to also mention that you have a dedicated SEO person, marketing person who helps you with this. Is that correct?
Yes, I do. And he contributes original content and also finds interesting things to repost and what have you on our social media. Writes our blog as well each week. I started out trying to do it myself, and it was just another thing to find time for. And B, I realized that, I really wasn't comfortable enough with the medium and didn't understand it well enough in terms of how to use it to promote my business to really do justice to it. So it's made a big difference to have someone who really understands the medium of social media and how to use that to promote a business without coming across as being, a sales pitch. A bit of a fine line sometimes, but he seems to strike a good balance. So that's, definitely something that's worked for me.
And do you mind me asking how much you pay this individual on a monthly basis?
Well, for the just for the social media and the posts, that would be in Canadian dollars, just over $800 Canadian a month.
Mm. So it's not cheap. I mean, you're paying.
But my thinking is, it's important type of promotion now. It's pretty much an expectation that you're going to have that, and that if you do have it, I think it really helps to do it well. And it also, of course, helps with the SEO as well in terms of the use of social media. And posting regularly and that kind of thing. So that tends to help the the non-paid SEO results as well. So
Right.
not always easy to measure that stuff, but my understanding is that it does help as far as that goes. So it's not cheap, but on the other hand, over time I've kind of reallocated my marketing budget, so taken some money away from more traditional forms of marketing, print, media, that kind of thing, and transferred it over to social media, for example.
Right. Okay. So we got a little sidetracked, but you did a nice kind of summary of your Facebook efforts. You mentioned Twitter, Facebook Boost, hanging up posters around the school of the program, placing postcards out around the school as well as other businesses in your community that allow that type of thing. Coffee shops, and you got some press releases, email blast. Do you recall off the top of your head how many email blasts you did initially promoting the program?
Well, I would say in the summer there were a couple, 2 or 3 regarding the camps and the open houses, and then leading up to the fall registration, there was 2 or 3 more from sort of mid-August through the end of September, and then just getting ready to do another one now that the initial 10-week session of classes is coming to an end. For our current classes, just reminding people about the program.
And let me ask you about the open house. How effective do you feel that it was?
I think it was effective. I mean, we got not massive numbers of people, but we got at each open house we would have, say, between 3 and 6 people come out, and I would say about half of them signed up for the program starting in September. So that was really good, and just the fact that, again, the kids could come and it was a hands-on experience for them. So within the open house, they were playing the instruments, they were making music together with the other kids, and just having fun, and the parents immediately saw the value of that, and it's just amazing, get kids who come out to try a class, and that's something that I offer as well, just a free trial class, because again, for a lot of the families, it's totally new to them, so they really don't have a point of reference for what Kidzrock is. So they, I will invite them to come out for a trial class, and 9 times out of 10 after the class, their child is just big smile on their face, and can we sign up? And several times I've had parents and kids say to me, "We love Kidzrock," you know. And
Mm.
I have to admit, it's not too often I hear someone say, a kid say, "I love piano lessons."
Well, that's a strong statement.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it really seems to captivate them in a different kind of way than perhaps more traditional piano lessons or whatever do. So it's just as I mentioned at the beginning, the uniqueness of the program is really a huge selling feature. And then once the parents come to understand that there's a lot of depth to the program, that is well thought out, well organized, and well presented by a teacher who's trained and learned the material. They see it's really comprehensive. It's not just about handing the kid, a guitar or whatever and plunking out a few notes and that's it. No, it's a program they see that progresses and evolves over time, and that's really the icing on the cake.
Right.
So there's the fun factor, but also there's a strong educational component.
Well, and what's really implied when they say they love Kids Rock, underneath it, they're saying, my kid loves music, and your studio is the one who helped that child discover it. So their loyalties to you will, or their loyalty to you will increase, and they're much more likely to talk about your studio to other people and to stay with you when their child's older and moves into private lessons.
Oh yeah, it's a great way to begin a relationship with a family, and they come to really appreciate the program, as you say, and we're of course the only music school in the area that offers it. So they see the value of it for their child, and definitely they're willing to spread the word and get their son or daughter's friends involved. So there's that aspect as well, and it's just something that they feel good about going out and telling people about, which is great. So it really speaks to the program, and then of course also the just the relationship with the music studio and how we present the program. So I think that's something that I'd like to mention as well, is that you do have to invest the time in terms of like myself understanding the program, and the woman who teaches the program here at the music studio really taking the time to read the materials that you provide, understand the content, how to present the content, and just the general structure and pacing of the classes, so that it's well presented. It's presented in a professional manner. So I think that's an important aspect of rolling out the Kids Rock program as well.
Well, I'm so glad that you mentioned that, and I think it's one of the easier parts of the program to neglect. You launch the program, you get 10 kids in it, without that supervision of the instructor and making sure that the instructor's delivering it as it's mapped out. You're really not taking advantage of the years that we put into developing it. You're saving by having your instructor implement it as documented. You're the instructor's using methods that have been proven and work, and that's probably the most common. When I hear someone's losing Kids Rock students, I say look at your instructor and make sure that they're implementing the program right, because a big part of the program is including the parents in the class and having them come in, and each week the parents see something different. Yesterday I taught a class and the parents came in and we did gathering drum where the parents are part of it. They really don't have any idea that gathering drums are part of the class until they come in for that. So educating the parents, showing if the band isn't sounding as good as they'll sound in concert, a parent might think, wow, like what's going on in here? But then when the teacher explains to the parent, oh, well, this is what our objective is at this point, then the parent gets it, and they're much more patient with the program, and it takes pressure off the teacher. I always say to teachers, give the band maybe 5 or 6 rehearsals before they really start sounding cohesive. And it can be, a lot of pressure on somebody if it's the third rehearsal and the band's just not getting it, and that's fine at that point.
Yeah, yeah, definitely, definitely. So, it does take time. The kids obviously can get playing together quite quickly, but then it's a case of, them improving and learning how to work together better in terms of the songs they play and remembering their parts and all that kind of stuff. So, that's going to take time, of course, as it does for any musical group.
Right.
But it's as long as you're following the program, then it's really pretty straightforward in terms of rolling that out in a way that makes sense to the kids, that they can understand it, and enjoy it each step of the way. And I think another selling point for the program as well with some families is that they don't have to go out and buy an instrument
Right.
for home practice if they don't already have one, and also that the child isn't actually required to practice. That they can come and do what needs to be done, accomplish what needs to be done within the class framework. And I think again that makes it easier for young kids to get involved with music, because it just takes away the onus of, okay, now you have to practice 20 minutes a day or whatever,
Right.
which some kids are fine with, and for other kids it can be a bit of a turnoff in terms of music instruction and just enjoying music. So I think one of the other good things about Kidzrock is it gets the kids enjoying the music initially, without having to do all the home practice. They're still progressing, learning skills, but they're really developing that attachment to music and to an instrument. So when they get a bit older, then they're more open to, I want to learn more about playing the guitar or whatever, and I'm going to practice. So I think it's a good stepping stone in that regard.
And one quick question before we go: has your marketing changed now that your program's up and running, and you're not necessarily announcing the launch of it? Has it changed at all?
Yes, in the sense that I definitely rely on our current students, Kidzrock students, and their parents to promote the program to a certain extent. I encourage them to do so. I offer a free class if a family refers another family to the Kidzrock program, and just really trying to make it easy for them to spread the word about a program that they find beneficial for their children and that the child enjoys. Just relying a bit more on that, and still trying to contact people, involve people who are even not students at the music studio right now. So just people that are brand new who come here for the Kidzrock program. So definitely continuing marketing to those people, but just as I say, making more of the building base of Kidzrock students, people involved in the program, and getting them to tell others.
Will you, if somebody calls your studio with a 5-year-old that wants to take piano lessons, will you, in your response to them, try to pitch them Kidzrock?
I will. I will at least mention it. Sometimes I find parents are very specific. I want piano lessons for my 5-year-old, and that's pretty much it. So, certainly I'll give them information about that, and I'll also say, we also have this program. Just wanted to let you know about it, Kidzrock. Give them a brief explanation. And sometimes they'll say, oh, okay, well, we'll check that out. Other times they're just kind of laser focused on piano lessons.
Right.
But I also find a lot of times I get parents calling and they'll say, look, I've got a 5-year-old, seems to enjoy music. I really don't know, where to start. What do you suggest? So that's a bit
Right.
more of a clean slate. So in that case, I'll certainly go into Kidzrock in great detail. Sometimes they immediately pick up on that, and they like the group activity component as opposed to the private lessons.
Mm-hmm.
And they also like that the Kidzrock provides the foundation of basic musical skills, which their child can then transfer over to the piano or guitar or whatever in terms of private lessons at a later point. Definitely for anyone inquiring about lessons in the 4 to 7 years age range, I will definitely mention the Kidzrock, and then just kind of based on their response to that, determine whether, let's really go into that in more detail, or, I put it out there and they might be interested at a later date.
You know what phrase we've been using that I think's been effective is we will say, well, for our students that are your child's age, we recommend Kidzrock, and here's why. I'll say it in maybe one sentence. It kind of allows, the thing I like about that phrase is it's establishing us as the experts. We're saying, well, here's what we recommend. It's like clearly the parent knows, well, you're the expert. You're a music guy, you're running, the business. And I've had a lot of, because I think it's a tricky thing. It's sort of like someone calling and saying, well, I'd like to order a Big Mac. And you say, well, let me tell you about our grilled chicken sandwich. It's like, well, wait a minute. They're not, it's not what they want the Big Mac. That's what they're calling for. So, yeah, I think you kind of get one shot at getting them to, change course. And I've been, just thinking a lot about how to do that in a way that doesn't agitate the person, because it's almost like that's, they're saying that's not what I called about. So it's a tricky thing.
And like I say, just depending on the perspective of the parent, sometimes they're quite open to it, and other times it's like, no, I don't want to talk about anything other than piano lessons.
Right.
But what I also sometimes find is, even for people in that situation, so we'll set up piano lessons, and I always suggest, for kids younger than 6 for piano, let's try a month of lessons, just see how it goes in terms of the private lesson format and the home practice and all that. And sometimes it's just not the right fit for the child, even though that's, exactly what the parent wanted. So then that's an opportunity to revisit the Kidzrock, and I'll say,
Right.
Look, I think this is not quite the right time for your child to be taking the piano lessons. Maybe, try again in 6 months or a year. But how about trying the Kidzrock? So I've had some success with that. And so because the parent realizes that, yes, it's, maybe their child is not the right time for their child for whatever reason in terms of them being able to focus for the 30 minutes of the private lesson, or they just don't want to practice, or whatever the case might be. So the Kidzrock is a way to keep them involved in music. And, as I mentioned before, like 9 times out of 10, the child's going to love the class. And so then that, really keeps the child involved, learning basic skills that are going to help them out when they return to playing the piano or what have you when they're a little bit older. And so the parent feels good about that the child is enjoying music, enjoying the program, learning about music, and then the parent realizes, yeah, you know what, they can always go back to the piano in a year or two.
Right.
So I find that sometimes works, like just allowing them to try it, and if it's just not the right time for their child, then letting them realize that themselves, that maybe this isn't the right fit, and then it's like, hey, what was that Kidzrock thing you were talking about? So that works sometimes.
Well, that's great. Well, Ed, I want to thank you so much for your time and your insights. This is you've given me some things to think about. Anyone listening to this phone call can check out Ed's website at themusicstudio.ca. The CA does not stand for California, but Canada. Ed, thanks so much.
And thank you, Dave. Thank you very much for asking me to participate in this. Much appreciated.
Yeah, well, you're doing a great job, and I hope you can be a source of inspiration for the other licensees out there.
I hope so too, and I certainly do appreciate your ongoing assistance. It makes it easier.
Great. All right, thanks, Ed. You have a great day.
All right, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.